Hello, I am Kodili-nye, the son of wonderful. We are going to discuss erosion in Nanka, Oko, and Ekwulobia. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on your geographical location and abode and the time zone. You're welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful time. We're going to discuss about erosion, the solution that need to be applied immediately to solve this erosion. And stay tuned as we continue to discuss about them. Thank you. Hello, this is Oko. You see the the magnitude of this problem in Oko, but I bet you there is a solution. If you will stay calm, if these solutions are applied, I bet you within a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this problem will be brought to an end. This is Oko. You can see what is happening there. Is the same thing happening in Nanka, Agulu, Ekwulobia. So we are going to hit the nail on his head. Remember, this channel is entertaining, is educative, and is also informative. We are not politicians, whereby we will try to bring a solution to our homeland, because the homeland must be livable and a prosperous homeland, and nothing can stop it from happening except by ourselves. So this is the devastation. Some people call it natural disaster. Some people call it man-made. But we are going to discuss about it and see that this has a solution. And the solution lies in us. The solution is there. The wisdom to do it is with us. We cannot look elsewhere. We must solve this problem once and for all. I am Kodili-nye. Stay tuned. That's okay, you're watching. Acres of land. Acres of land that is being blown away. Acres of land. Is there any solution to this? We are going to discuss about the about soil erosion and what causes it, and why it cannot be solved doing what we are doing at this time, and how it can be solved. Is our solution? Yes, that we are going to discuss that. But you must be patient. You can also see that these communities on their own can actually help to solve this. Even when the government abandon them and doing political maneuvering or gymnastics on it, or political harakiri, or atilogo, with this devastation of our environment, the environment of the homeland. That should not stop us from taking a bold action to put an end to this ugly issue, this environmental devastation. We must end them. We must bring an end to them. But we must work together. We must be proactive. And now we are going to discuss that. We are going to discuss what we need to do. We're going to discuss that. So stay tuned, and as we continue on this discussion, you will see there is a solution for us. Hello, welcome back. I am Kodili-nye, the son of the wonderful and a friend of the helper and comforter. We are going to continue on our discussion. You must have watched a little clip of the Oko, Nanka, and Ekwulobia environmental disaster and devastation of the ecology. Oko, Nanka, and Agulu are all, and Ekwulobia are all in Anambra State of Nigeria, West Africa. And over the years, Anambra State was declared the erosion capital of, they say, the world, but I don't know how they get the facts and figures. And they have been using it as a political game where they label the Erosion menace in this state and in Nigeria as a natural disaster and a natural phenomenon or calamity. And over the years, this erosion has caused devastation in many communities in Nigeria, in Anambra State, and many other places. Many roads has been washed off, many properties and lives have been lost, billions of properties, billions of money has been wasted, and billions of money have been siphoned by the politicians in the name of fighting erosion. And many of the time, without no concrete results. And the erosion keep on expanding and expanding and expanding. At the last count, they reckon that only Anambra State, one of the 36 states of Nigeria, has over 1,000 something erosion sites. In spite of the smallness of the landmass of Anambra State, a lot of its land has been taken by the erosion. And why is it happening? Can't we find a solution to this? Can this be solved? Is it man-made phenomenon? Is it natural? What is the causes of erosion? First of all, before we discuss further on this, thank you very much for your effort. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for always supporting us. What I urge you all now is to make sure that you like, you comment, you turn on the notification button. Remember to subscribe if you have not subscribed. Please subscribe. To help us to grow stronger, you have to subscribe. Please subscribe. Please share to your friends. Share to those people in the government, not only town unions and women organizations and many. We want a million share. We want a million view on this because we need to stop this natural calamity. Many people have suffered. Pain has been the portion of many because of this. So can we continue on this level? Not at all, because living it like that will endanger more lives and cause more pain. And remember, we in this channel offer solution. And this solution will, within 4 years, erosion will be checked and we will recover a lot of those eroded lands. And it will be a great economic asset to the state. What that was meant for our own harm will be turned to something that will be for our own good. The economy will be expanded because of all this plan that we have to start. And this will involve all, including the government. But the communities involved will have to start, because waiting for the government, especially how the politicians in Nigeria work, it will not be solved in the next 20, 30, 40 years. So for us to have a timeline of solving this erosion problem, or a timeline of 4 years starting from this year 2024, what we need to do and what we have to put in place and how we can mitigate this ecological problem and how we can turn it into a great gold mine for the communities involved and the state and the Nigeria. So we begin. Erosion. Erosion is the washing out of the top surface by wind, by water, by flood, or by any other activities, both human and natural activities. So the top surface of the soil are being eroded. From the eroding of it, that's why that name started. Basically, it means that to uncover, to take away the top surface of the soil through any other means or any means. So now, erosion can be man-made and it can be natural. In some areas in the world, there are natural phenomenon where erosion, the land suddenly collapse, and without no water, without nothing going there, and the land started collapsing and the land starts sinking, and a big gully will appear from nowhere. There's no human activity there, there's no flooding, nothing. It do happen in some countries of the world. That's actually natural disaster. The one in Anambra State is not really natural disaster, because if you look at all those areas that is happening and look at how the soil texture and how the floodplain, the valleys and all those ecological, the topography of those areas, you can understand that if there is no plan in place, that place will always be suffering from erosion. Look at the human activities that is very high. You can also know that there will be this erosion all the time. Over the years, Anambra State is part of the rainforest region of Nigeria, and that rainforest have a lot of big trees and a lot of mangroves and a lot of other trees. I could remember I was told in the area of Agulu, Adazi to Oka has big forests. And I could remember one of my relatives was telling me that at that area also used to have a lot of lions and elephants. In Oka, Agulu, even to others, they have lots of lions. He was telling me, he told me that those big lions that it was roaming about everywhere, because everywhere was full of mahogany trees and big massive trees. So, and you start to ask yourself, Where are those trees today? Where are those elephants? Where are those lions? They were nowhere to be found. A place in Oka called Amenyi Oka is a place they said that used to have a lot of elephants because of the topography of that place with the type of things that harbor elephants and other animals. They were nowhere to be found. I could remember then when I was schooling in one of those villages there near the Oka, I noticed that there was massive forest. And these massive, some of those trees, some of them, the trunk can be up to 2 to 3 feet or 4 feet, the trunks of those massive trees. But if you go to those areas now, you will not see those type of trees. And those trees were acting as a check to the environment. It was acting to hold firm. The root of those trees were helping to hold down the soil and check the influence of the flooding affecting the land. And it was doing great job. Now, a lot of things started happening. I'm just telling you a little story. I don't want to bore you with all these things because we are going to hit the solution. Because why we are doing this video is about offering the solution and how it can be, it can work out. So suddenly, the greediness of human being, including the government, started rising. People started cutting those trees, setting fire to the forest, excavating, mining sand, mining stone. From Neni, Nemo to Ekwulobia, Agulu, all those areas, there were heavy mining going on. People were mining a lot of things, stones, sand. People were bringing down those trees, doing all sorts of devastation. And the government also joined. The government started bulldozing areas in the name of building roads. They will remove the topsoil. They get the payloaders and all those caterpillars and all those tractors to completely bulldoze an area, promising heaven and earth, we are going to build so and so roads. At the end of the day, they abandoned those areas. And they started channeling waters, poor channelization of waters. Some of these things started having effect. And people were building houses many places because the government is nowhere to be found. The flood parts and all those marshy areas were taken by so much construction, houses and other things. And some people were actually, farms were established there, houses, a lot of things rose on those marshy area that's supposed to be holding firm and helping to slow down the rainy water. Some areas, some of the streams, natural streams that control the flooding, were completely moved. People build on it. People basically block the streams and a lot of things. That was what was happening. And the result is what we are seeing today. The land cannot hold itself because it needs the roots and other things to hold it in check. The land, the soil is very soft in that area, so you need a lot of other materials to hold it. So suddenly the land start giving up, and you start seeing erosion, you start seeing landslides, you start seeing a lot of things happening. So this lay exposed, I would say, the lies that have been told over the years that is a natural disaster. So we are going to discuss about how to tackle the Oko, Nanka, Agulu, Agulu, Ekwulobia, Erosion menace. So to tackle them, first of all, is to look at the whole of that area. If you look at the whole of that area, you see that where this erosion is happening at this time is basically like a valley. It's like where the water from those towns are are being emptied. So, and because some of the towns, some of them are living in a hilly area, some of that areas are valley where the water are going in to be terminated. So, and the water that is coming out as a result of a lot of houses that are being built, a lot of human activities, the roads and other things. And these houses are creating a lot of runoff waters, and these roads are creating a lot of runoff waters, and the deception of building drainages, thinking that that's solving the problem, has also proven to be otherwise, because all those water are being channeled in one place, and the speed in which those water are coming, those water on itself, actually the flooding or the water from the drainage on itself is actually hitting on the ground, the lower part of that areas, and it's also causing devastation, causing the side of those valleys to, or mountain, whatever, to be collapsing, to be eroded. And because also the government are not actually looking at those sand dredgers and those people doing mining and all those things. And that's why these things are happening. And the local communities are not actually proactive at all. They just keep quiet, fold their arms and say, government, come and help us. Which government is going to help you? Government that is also a contributor to the problem. So meaning that everybody must change their pattern. Everybody must change how they are doing things. They must embrace what we are discussing here. If we are joining this, I am Kodili-nye. We are discussing about the solution to Oko, Nanka, Ekwulobia, Agulu, Agulu, and those communities in Anambra State that is struggling with erosion. So now, what is number one solution? Is to tackle it from the beginning, inside the towns, inside those communities, away from those erosion sites that is happening at the moment. How can we tackle this? Let me give you an example. Ekwulobia, Oko, or Agulu should now create land that can be used as a stopgap for those flooding. So during the rainy season, or even without the rainy season, some of these drainage, there are water coming out of them. And all of them are emptying into those areas. And at a point, those areas, the soil is having issue with those massive flooding coming in there, the water coming into there. So what the communities can do, or if the government wants to do also, they can do that, is to start to map out land where they will create artificial lake. They have to not just lake, but lakes. In a community like Ekwulobia, the people will be saying there is no land, there is no land. But for you to safeguard the existing land, you must do something that can solve the problem. So they have to create lakes. Some of those artificial lakes or water reservoir should not be less than 40 feet by 40 feet. Some of them will be 200 feet by 200 feet. Some of them will be 100 feet by 100 feet and a depth of 20 feet down. So it will be reserved and trees planted around it. So most of the water that should be entering into that place, all those erosion sites, will be channeled into that place, and multiples of pipe will be connecting it to another area. So when this one is full, it will follow the pipes, the pipe that have been laid, the discharge pipe or overflow pipes. It will be going slowly to another lake somewhere in that village. So in Ekwulobia, they might have created like between, depending on the size of Ekwulobia, between 20 to 30 of them, or 50, depending on how huge the place is. So that's the one they have to do, creating of lakes with pipe. So all these drainage they are doing will be entering into also those lakes, artificial lakes. Those lakes must be built properly. It must be built, the side of it must be secured very well with a cambions. Cambions must be built around it so that to avoid it collapsing. So proper cambions must be built and supported by trees around it. So now, after doing this, now you come into the every compound in Ekwulobia, Oko, or Agulu. They must be forced to adopt a system we call water harvesting. So every house must have tanks of 10,000 or 5,000 gallons that they have to harvest rainwater. So every water that is dropping from their roof must enter into the tanks. They must reuse it. So now they will have those tanks. In addition to those tanks, they must suck underground water tanks and wells inside their compound. Every compound that is 50 by 100 must have not less than 2. Those that have more than that will now sink more. So what will happen is that the water that is supposed to be coming out from every compound must be retained in those compounds and must be used in that compound. So this will also reduce the water that are being discharged on the roads, on the drainage system. It will reduce it even in the rainy season. So now, especially in the rainy season, those water will be retained. So now, after that, now this is one of the solutions. The second solution or the third solution. Remember, water tanks, harvesting of water from the roof, and the building underground omi they call it. 2 in every 50 by 100 feet plot of land. So now every house, after doing these things, so now we go to the erosion area. Those erosion areas that are already developing, where the water is discharging into them must be controlled. What I mean by controlling is that any drainage or pipe that is entering that place, the discharge, wherever is discharging at the bottom of that erosion, they must build another artificial lake inside of it. That lake will have to retain the water. The water will enter into that lake, and it should be built around with cambions and a lot of trees and a lot of things. It must be built like artificial lake. So they must build the first one and the second one and the third one. So now building it must be a very big lake. Now the water will be entering into it and making sure that nothing block those lakes. So now in the rest of those erosion sites, they must plant together bamboo trees, and they must also form cambions, building some cambions around it. They must plant a lot of grasses and other trees. What I mean bamboo trees is they have to plant it together. They must not give any gap at all. It must be lined together. So they plant it, and they will make sure that no human activity or sand dredgers must be allowed in that area. And with that, you already created an ecosystem. That's what we are going to discuss about. And you are going to also discuss about what will now start to happen. Because for the first year to second year, you must have stabilized that erosion. The erosion will not be developing anymore. Now, a lot of things will start happening. There is a strict penalty. You must be using stick, carrot and stick approach. There must be a heavy fine with the option of 5 years imprisonment for anybody that violate the community erosion prevention act. So they must put it in place. The communities and government, if the government or state government want to get involved, that's their own issue. But the community must begin as soon as possible, because if you're waiting for the politicians are waiting for the next election. They might be making some promises, but they don't actually want to keep it going. But you can save your community from this mess. You can save your community. You can reclaim your land eventually. So because the more you are building houses, the more you are generating more flood water. The more economic activity in those towns, the more water coming. And remember, in rainforest, there's a lot of rains. So now, if you can do all those things, it means that you are, during the rainy season, when you have excessive flooding and other things, the water, the flooding, the erosion cannot happen again. So you have retentions, and the retentions on those things we have already discussed already. So if you are joining this discussion, we are talking about the solution has been found for Nanka, Oko, Ekwulobia, Agulu, or Agulu Ezechukwu erosion site in Anambra State. These are the solution we have said. If you start this video, you can understand what we are talking about. Now, we now start to turn this erosion into an economic expansion. So we now turn this erosion issue, instead of being a disaster, will actually start to create economy, local economy, that will actually help to mitigate the properties or the land that have been lost before in the community. Now, new careers will start to happen in the community that will help us to rehouse those who are involved in mining, sand dredgers, stone mining, and other things. And those who are cutting those plants, bamboos, and all for building purposes, and firewoods. Now, those lakes that are being created, like Oko, if you create between 20 to 30 lakes, those lakes that are between 40 feet to 40 feet, or 20 by 50, or all those things, will not be turned into fisheries. Fishes will be put in there. It will be made in a way that another occupation, millions or billions of fishes will be hatched into that place. So the proceeds of that will also be used within 4 years, will be used in reclaiming those lands that are going to be reclaimed. And the people will have more jobs in those communities. Oko community, Agulu, and Nanka, and Ekwulobia will start to becoming a bit rich, because a lot of fishery industry will now start to happen in those communities. Aquaculture, because those lakes, those water that are being reserved in those areas will be used for agriculture. It will also be used to, it can be recycled and used for public water projects. So you see, now you are creating economy out of something that looks like a disaster. So those lakes that are going to be formed in some of those erosion sites already will also have a lot of aquatic creatures, millions or billions of them in there. And it will be left for some years without harvesting so that you have it in quantum. And another industry will be created there. So now, within that time, you have stabilized. Within the first 4 years, you must have stabilized the erosion in that area. Another one is banning the building of roads that involve destroying the top surface of the soil. If a road is going to be built by the community or by the government in those areas or in the state, a law has to be enacted that will stop the government or the community from completely destroying the top surface of the soil without planning how to checkmate erosion happening in those areas. So there shouldn't be any abandoned road in those areas. So there should also be a strict implementation of planting of grasses. Planting of grasses, making sure no place in the community is left bare. Everywhere grasses, anywhere that is top surface of the soil, more grasses must be planted in that place. So that's one of the area and solution. And another one is that any place that is like valley in nature or slopey in nature, there must be cambions built to hold the ground on that place with a lot of bamboos and other grasses and other trees planted to help to hold the ground on those areas. So these are things that has to be done. The laws has to be made that if the government fail, the community has to take them to court to pay damages for devastation. So no longer that the politicians will come and every election cycle they started using the caterpillars and payloaders to destroy the top surface of the soil, thinking of building roads. And the pattern of roads that will be built in those areas must change. The pattern and the termination of the waterways or drainages has to be done straight to those lakes that are created. It must not be terminated halfway anymore. It must not be terminated halfway anymore. And the roads that must be built in those areas must be reinforced concrete roads. Roads that are solid, not with asphalt, but proper road construction must be done in those areas. So no longer all those shabby contractors being employed to do roads in those erosion prone areas. And this must be strictly followed. It must be strictly pursued. No hanky-panky on that. No more political games on this, because lives are involved. And the government or the community has to have a strict penalty for any violators of this. They must have in every clan people that are chairman of this erosion solution or erosion control and prevention team. They must be on the ground all the time, checking that no violators are left unpunished and nobody will be allowed to violate this. So it should be something that everybody must be involved. And the Agulu, the ideology that is happening must also be used in this. So when we are doing all those things, you will see that the community suddenly, what is meant to be a disaster has now turned into something that will bring some economic expansion and economic growth in those communities. So Oko, Agulu, Ezechukwu, Agulu, Ekwulobia, Nanka cannot go down. Erosion cannot bring them down unless we agree. Oko agagada, Agulu agayada, Ekwulobia agayada, Nanka agayada, Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Oko ga-adị, Nanka ga-adị, Agulu ga-adị, Ekwulobia ga-adị. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Mbuzi agaghị ebu Anambra steeti. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Ka anyị jikọọ aka, ka anyị jikọọ aka, maka na anyụkọ mamịrị ọgbọ ụfụfụ. Mbuzi agaghị ebu anyị. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị. Cha 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 cha. Mbuzi agaghị ebu obodo anyị o. Mbuzi agaghị emerikwa anyị o. Cha 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 cha. What that has been meant for our own harm, God has turned it to our own good. We can turn this erosion issue in Nanka, Oko, Agulu, Ekwulobia into an economic power, an economic impartation. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, the Anambra State Governor, must listen to this. He must act immediately. But even if he failed to act, Oko community, listen. Nanka community, listen. Ekwulobia community, listen. And Agulu, Kunienu. Anyị aga-echezi ndị ọchịchị ka anyị mee ihe anyị ga-eme wee zọpụta obodo anyị. Anambra, Kunienu. Let us do what we need to do. We cannot continue losing lives and property to this. We cannot continue to believe that this is a natural disaster or calamity. This is a man-made. Both you in the community and the government are the main causes of this issue. Let's call a spade a spade. Unless we call a spade, no solution will be found. I am Kodili-nye, the son of the wonderful. Please remember to subscribe after watching this. I want to hear your comment on this. Come to the comment section. Let's continue on this discussion. Let's continue on this dialogue. If you have a contrary opinion, feel free to share it, and together we will finally end this erosion issue, erosion calamity, ecological, environmental problem. We must end them within the next 4 years, starting from today. Starting from today, we must reclaim our land. We must reclaim our communities. We must reclaim our lives and our economy. Our land must surely be livable and a prosperous homeland. Nanka must be livable. Ekwulobia must be livable. Agulu must be livable. And Oko must be livable. And many other communities that have been devastated by this erosion must be livable. We must be rejoicing in our own land. God has blessed us with a beautiful land, running with milk and honey. Now is the time for all of us to join hands to make our land a final destination and not a departure point. Thank you very much. I am Kodili-nye, the son of the wonderful. I believe